Hey, good morning, everyone. Those that are here in the room, those that may be watching online or reviewing this tape at a later date, this is a regular BOCC meeting for January 24th, 2024. Before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Pastor Farthing up to provide an invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve in this state, in this county. Lord, I ask you to give our leaders and all of our people in our local government office wisdom, compassion, fortitude, and for the people that they serve. And Lord, for those of us who have voted for them, for those of us who watch them serve and benefit from their services, I ask you to bless them as they voice their concerns and opinions. Father, we ask in all these things that it all be done to your glory and to your honor. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge.
Thank you, sir. All righty, it is 9:02. Amanda, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
All righty, we have a quorum. First item we have is approval of the agenda before us. I'm not aware of any changes. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. We have an agenda. So first item of business we have is items on consent. I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So moving on to elected officials, department head, staff reports. Elected officials. Sherry, morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sherry Hewlett, Elbert County Treasurer and Public Trustee. In your package, you'll see the fourth quarter Public Trustees report. Pretty standard, staying about average for 23 as we did in 22. Currently, I processed one foreclosure in 24 and it's already been withdrawn. So within a couple weeks. So last year at this time we had 3 new foreclosures. And again, I've processed 1 so far this year. Release of deeds of trust are still trending downward. 2022 we had 1,701 releases, and in 23 we had 1,031. So that's about 670 difference there. Primarily the any foreclosures that we've gotten have been withdrawn. I haven't hardly had any sales. I think I may have had 2 last year. So withdrawals are good. We had 29 foreclosures in 2023 and 35 in 2022. So far, foreclosures are staying low. So I'm happy about that. Did you have any questions for the fourth quarter report?
I do not.
So are you hearing the reason that they're being withdrawn? Are the lenders more willing to work with the homeowner?
I think so. I don't really get a lot of feedback. I had a lady in my office that's in foreclosure, and she's trying to cure. So she is working with her lender because they can cure through my office or they can cure with their lender. And I think the banks, mortgage companies are a little bit more open for that. They don't want to have to sell the property, you know. So it's always good when I see a withdrawal come through. So yeah, I think primarily they're working with their lenders on that. So if no questions on the public trustee side, any more questions rather, on the treasurer's side, I got the tax roll data submitted to the Master's Touch, our printing vendor. So they'll be working that up here within the next week or two. I'm still hoping for a mail deadline of January 29th, but that's my hope. I don't know if that can happen. They're really busy right now too, with all the other county treasurers processing their data. Got the tax rolls Thursday about midday and had it processed by that night. I had one school district I was waiting on some information, so that kind of put me behind a little bit. I wanted to get the data to the printer by Monday morning, but it was midday Monday. So just so citizens know, even with the pushback on the deadlines for mill levies and when the assessor had to get the data to me, deadlines or payment deadlines did not change. So February 29th is the first half payment due date. June 15th is the second half payment due date, and April 30th is the full payment. Now, if the statements aren't mailed until that first week in February, I'm going to give them an extra week if their payments come in for the first half after the February 29th deadline. So depending on when that mail deadline is, if it's 3 days, I'll give them 3 extra days before we charge interest on that first half. We can do that up to 10 days. Mostly our citizens' mortgage companies pay that first half. So there's a few citizens that pay their own first half, but we'll work with those folks in that case. So other than that, we're just waiting for them to be mailed, and then we'll get really busier.
Okay, any questions? Yeah, just I guess a comment. I'm not sure where they'll be directed, but I'm assuming with all the discussion of tax relief over the last 6 months or so, I'm assuming people, we'll be getting calls, I think collectively on where is it, what do I see? I know we do have a document that finance prepared when mills came in that kind of shows every taxing authority, whether their mills stayed the same, went down, went up. So that might be a useful document for your office to have if somebody is asking. I appreciate when you sent over the tax roll, when we were looking through at least for the county mills, I think we started with an average increase of property values by 34%. Some of the legislative action the state took brought that down to an average of 27%. And then the mill reduction we did at the county level brought the increase down to 13.2%, so about 6.5% a year over each of those 2-year periods. So I know what the county did, but I know there's places where the county's mill reduction was erased by a school district's increase in mills. So I just anticipate we're going to be getting lots of calls from people saying, hey, where's my tax relief? And I think we probably need to be able to talk to them about, look at your taxing entities. If you want this list, we can get it to you so you can see if, maybe the county came down and one of the other entities went up, or, just like I said, I know it's going to be a frustrating year for folks.
Yeah, it will be.
Especially when the escrow shortage notices start coming in.
And then I already heard on the news or on the radio this morning coming in, they're already reporting that property taxes are going up 25% more for this year. So I'm like, do you really have to say that right now?
Well, yeah, and it's unclear whether they're saying that about the 23 taxes collected this year,
right,
or this year's taxes collected next year, which it's an intervening year, so there shouldn't be much of a raise this year. But.
And on my tax bills, I have that graph.
Okay.
That's very helpful that folks can look at, that shows the breakdown of what how much goes to the county, how much goes to schools, and how much go to special districts. Hopefully that'll help. But yeah, you're right. We'll probably get quite a few phone calls, and I have that information available. Or I'm sure Susan, was happy to talk to them as well. So.
Yeah. So, and we'll put something in the Elbert County connection probably this coming month as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not seeing any else. Sean, you didn't have anything at this point, did you? No. Okay, so we'll move on to citizen public comment. This is an opportunity for folks to bring up issues that aren't necessarily on today's agenda. If they're new issues, we may not have an answer for you, but we can take them for future work and get back to you. So, do we have anybody that would like to make public comment? Don. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Don Gray, 16,000 Highway 86. More of the same, just giving you an update. The land agents for Excel are working this segment. They're reaching out to many of the landowners. It's kind of sporadic on who they're reaching out to and at what time they're reaching out to. The general gist is they're in a time crunch to get some of this done, yet to my knowledge, and that's one of my questions to you all, have they submitted an application? The typical questions, because it seems like they're trying to get ahead of the game before they even have an application before the county. So just an update on that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? Okay, none in the room. I'm not aware of anybody that wanted to be called or submitted email comment. So with that, I'll close public comment. Yeah, Don, in response to your question, we haven't received an application yet, nor have not received an application yet, nor have we gotten any indication that one is pending shortly. I mean, there's been no contact saying, hey, we're just about done or ready to the staff. Yeah, I understand them trying to secure a route prior to, but we'll see. Just if you can keep us informed or have questions, we'll continue to answer them as we have information. Anything to add?
No, it's, I can't tell you how many people in the county have asked questions about the XL line, and it's very difficult to answer some of the questions because what they're doing back behind the county commissioners and talking to individuals, we don't have any control of that. But they have not come to us. In fact, as I just got this morning's report of the status of different applications, and they have not made a formal application. And they're not even working on a formal application with our CDS department at this point.
Alrighty, thanks. We'll close public comment at this time, or I guess I had, but moving on to discussion items. We've got a discussion of a possible appropriation of funds for fairgrounds projects not budgeted for 2024. We had some turnover in both engineering and facilities towards the end of the year, so planning, though we have had quite a few talks with both the Fair Board and other organizations that want to support the fairgrounds, we didn't quite have a plan together to be budgeted for the year, but I know we want to progress forward and make some improvements on the fairgrounds ahead of fair this year. So I'll turn that over to you, Sean.
Yeah, as we've already had those discussions and as we've had a change in the staff, we went ahead and moved forward and identified some opportunities for funding. And we have our finance manager here to tell us how much he has found.
Hey, Tiffany.
Finance manager. So looking through the impact fund, we have a couple of options. So we have the open space, or that's the cash in lieu, and we have recreation. And as of December 31st, the open space had a $875,000 balance, and the recreation had a $185,000 balance. In the 2024 budget, we did have $70,000 budgeted in cash in lieu for an open space economic development plan. And then under capital, under recreation, we did have $160,000 budgeted. There were no specific notes as to what that was to help project. But so with that left, we also have Fund 90, which is the Conservation Trust Fund. And projecting for 2024 fund balance, we are supposed to have about $873,000 And with the amounts that were already budgeted plus what would be left, we're looking between $1.7 million available for projects between Fund 90 fund balance and then the amounts left with the cash in lieu and the recreation from the impact fund.
So I know, again, we have some outside organizations that are seeking grants. Obviously, we can use cash for things, or we can seek to amplify that through grants as well. So I think the point we're at now really is to start laying out, prioritize what we want to do, what can be done before fair, and then what's reasonable. I mean, as the time gets shorter, the ability to use money to match grants that would come in time to do work before fair starts getting limited. So I think we probably need a little kind of maybe a working group meeting to sit down about what's reasonable to fund and how to use the cash to get the most out of it over time.
Yes, we actually have a meeting coming up to discuss some of those things, as well as get some information as to what they've heard from the grants they've applied to. And the new facilities manager has already started looking at the condition of the fairgrounds and identifying which projects should be put first. And he'll share that at our upcoming meeting as well.
Yeah, I know we just got I think earlier this week or end of last week, the call for next year's congressionally directed spending or earmarks that we submitted a couple of years ago for substantial money for the fairgrounds. We didn't make the cut, but I think that's something we should probably continuously apply for everything we want to do, and see if maybe some year they decide to rain money on us.
Yeah, so at this point, we wanted to make sure that we're okay to utilize the funds that have been identified for these upcoming projects. Once we have answers back from the grants that those other nonprofits have applied for, we'll have a better idea of what our grant manager can apply for as well. She has identified other grants that can be applied to, but it's dependent on the status of the grants that have already been applied. So if the funds were allocated from what's been applied to, then we are not qualified to apply for the others. But if we fall through on these, then she can move forward with applying for the others.
I think partly I've been involved with some of those meetings. What we're going to run into a little bit of a time issue on what we can and can't do before summer season starts. So as we go through that, what can be done this year as opposed to planning into next year and the following years is going to be critical, so that we are able to utilize whatever funds we have available or the grant funds to really plan in 25, be able to do what we need to do, can do in 24 with what we have, and kind of make that plan going forward. So I think it's moving along, but it's something that we need to be aware of, that the fairgrounds is used more than just in August. We have to have that stuff put together before then.
Yeah, this is just long-term planning and identification of the projects. And just like Dallas said, it's the timing of the implementation of trying to fulfill those project requirements. But the fairgrounds plan that we have, what is it, about 10 years old, the one that was done? Yeah, so it may be time to update that.
Those are all very good points, and those are things that the new facility manager is working on. Obviously, getting him to meet with the fair board will be helpful in identifying which ones are most important. But right now, he's up there right now even looking at the status of those facilities and buildings.
Yeah, I'd just say, I mean, the money that's accumulated is fees related to growth. So, I mean, this is kind of part of growth paying for itself to use. I mean, we've allowed those funds to grow to get to the point where there's the ability to do something of substance out there. I guess the last question I have is just process-wise. I mean, if to appropriate from these, we obviously need public notice. And
Correct. So if
what's the timing for, once we've decided what we want to spend, the process and timing?
So once we've identified the projects that we would like to do and the cost has been associated to it, we can present to you what that plan is and that unbudgeted amount. And that is taken place in a public meeting. And then once that is approved, we can go forward with those projects.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you much. All righty, and the next item we have is consideration of approval of the updated finance policy. I know this.
And this is something that we're still in the middle of putting the final touches on, so we are just simply asking to continue this to our next meeting.
Okay.
I think we're pretty close on this. I think this is a pretty expansive, longer document than most policies that are similar in nature. And so we're simply asking for a continuance to the next time that we have a BOCC meeting. I think we'll be ready and completely vetted at that point.
Okay. If I understand, probably the most significant specific addition would be moving control of all bidding process to the oversight of finance, so we have transparency and consistency in bidding across the county.
Right, the bid process and the supervision over that, including some of the safeguards and controls on that, are explicitly being included as part of the finance department's mandate or mission. They've certainly been involved in that process up to this point, but it's just being very explicit about the process and some of the transparency requirements that we expect for bidders and for the public. And so I think clarifying that is important. I would say that's the major thing that we're looking at. And some of the additional controls, minor things here and there, just added controls that are best practice, I think, are some of the other things we're looking at.
Thanks. Any questions for staff? No. All righty, thanks. Moving on to action items. First item we've got is consideration of the January 10th, 2024 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the January 10th, 2024 BOCC minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to accept the January 10th minutes as presented and dispense with reading. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Next we have consideration of the January 17th minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the January 17th, 2024 minutes as presented and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the January 17th minutes as presented and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Next we have proposed cancellation of uncollectible tax assessments from the treasurer. Sherry.
Good morning again. Sherry Hewlett, Elbert County Treasurer and Public Trustee. So before you, I am recommending that we cancel uncollectible taxes for 2 possessory interest properties in which the lease has expired. The first one, the lease expired in 2003. So these are taxes for 2002 through 2003 of $485.82. The other property, the lease expired in 2011, and the taxes that are uncollectible are from 2012. The other one before you is a non-producing oil well for 2020 and 2021 taxes in the amount of $2,556.92. So my recommendation is to cancel those 3 in the total amount of $3,172.72. So they all meet the statutory limit of 1 year delinquent and uncollectible.
No.
Nope, okay.
Okay.
No, it's pretty straightforward. Annual house cleaning, so.
And the personal property, the oil well, we've talked about this many times. Unless you want to go out there and seize that equipment, I don't know where you're going to find it, but, or what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our other option, but we've talked many times about that's probably not really a good idea, so,
I know a guy that's a petroleum engineer. We don't want it.
right. So,
Not even good yard art, so.
right.
Okay, all right, so I would accept a motion to cancel these uncollectible taxes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the resolution to cancel the 2023 cancellation of uncollectible tax assignments as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the cancellation of uncollectible tax assessments as Sherry just described. All in favor, please say aye.
We've got somebody that's asking us to do
Oh,
something.
yes. Oh, so sorry. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Amanda. Next, we have consideration of a resolution authorizing the clerk and recorder to sign IGAs and MOUs regarding the 2024 election.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the clerk and recorder to sign IGAs and MOUs regarding the 2024 election year.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve a resolution authorizing IGAs and,
I'd like Dallas to explain what that really means.
okay. Any discussion? Dallas?
Sure. This was something that we have been doing for several years now with the clerk and recorder's office, particularly in this year. The presidential year, the clerk and recorder will be administering 3 different elections. Many of those dates overlap. There's many of these IGAs and MOUs the clerk and recorder has to enter in with special districts that are coordinating MOUs with our drop boxes. There's just a lot of I's dotting and T's crossed that need to be done. And oftentimes the calendar for the Secretary of State's office for this to be done doesn't always match up well with our meetings here to approve these MOUs and IGAs. And so I know when I was over there, it certainly made things more streamlined and easier to handle to be able to sign those. In general, what these are doing is just changing dates and times to match up with the new election. So it's not a completely new, it's just an update. And I know it makes things run more smoothly at the clerk and recorder's office.
Thank you. Any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we've got a motion and a second, and we've had discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right. Consideration of approval of an updated county attorney policy. We'll just take a motion and then have some discussion.
Oh, okay. I move that we approve the updated county attorney policy.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and discussion. Bart,
Yeah, this is,
describe the changes.
as we're still kind of fairly into the new year, we're still doing a couple of updates. This is one of those things. One of the things that we try to do is to review all contracts for the county to ensure that we're meeting all the requirements and ensuring that the terms are favorable for the county and that we're not necessarily in opposition to what statutory requirements might be for certain things. So while that's generally not an issue, there have been contracts which have not been reviewed that have been signed. And so what the major change here is just requiring a signature line on each contract that we enter into for the county attorney's office to have reviewed that and approved it as to form, meaning that the entire contract's been reviewed for those types of things that we're looking for. I'd say that's the major change. And so, other than that, I think, it's pretty much straightforward with what we've done as far as the county attorney policy up to this point.
Questions or comments? Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we've got a motion and a second, and we've had discussion. All in favor of approving the updated attorney policy, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Similarly, we have some updates to the county manager policy to consider. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the updated county manager policy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Again, I think there are relatively minor changes that more align with the county's just changing in structure. There were some references to a deputy county manager we no longer have, and I think some perhaps adjustments to signature authority for spending authorities.
Right, so specifically, we're taking and I'll let Sean speak on anything he thinks is relevant, but we're kind of updating the signature authority up to and including the amount that's we're looking at for the updated finance policy. We're also taking a look at one area which I do think needs to be updated, so I'd simply ask for the board to approve with the one addition of removing the deputy county manager referenced in line or paragraph 9, and instead we change that to a term of a duly appointed designee. We don't have a deputy county manager at this point in time. I think even if we do have a deputy county manager at some point, a duly appointed designee could certainly, that's something that that position could fall within. So that's the one change from the draft that is in the packet that I'm asking to make, and in consideration of that with the approval today.
Thank you. Sean, did you have anything to add? Or?
No, I think he covered it pretty well, other than the idea is to make sure that the language is more transparent. So anybody reading this moving forward will understand exactly what the role is and the interest of the county in serving its citizens.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second and a recommended change. So if you'd like
To amend it. Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to amend my motion to approve the county manager policy as presented, with the exception in item number 9 to remove the reference to a deputy county manager and have that replaced with a designee.
Thank you. Your second still stand?
It still stands.
All righty. Do we have any public comment on this? Okay. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve the updated county manager policy with the one change regarding the deputy county manager to be made. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Final is a consideration of a resolution regarding the finalization of a roadway claim. I guess we'll take a motion in a second and then discuss. Yeah.
I move that we approve the resolution regarding the roadway claim.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Bart, did you want to kind of
Sure.
give us an overview of this? It ends
Yeah.
some litigation, low-level litigation that's been going on for quite a while.
Yeah, this has been going on for at least 3 years, perhaps a little bit longer. This is specifically referencing County Road 178. Claim was made. I think, certainly some nearby neighbors as to where that road was built were not entirely pleased that that road was built. So we've kind of been working through the issues on that for a while. We do have a proposed resolution at this point that was somewhat hammered out through a mediation process. And so what I am asking for today is the approval to move forward with the proposed resolution of that claim, resolving that litigation. And what would be involved with that from our end of things would be a share of the funds required to build an acceleration lane out of well, where one of the intersections currently is. So with that stipulation, we should be able to resolve that claim. So I'm asking for approval from the board to go ahead and move forward with that.
As I understand it, there's been an agreement by all of the parties involved for a resolution of this issue.
That's correct. So this would be the formalization of that agreement or resolution. So I'm asking for the ability to enter into that agreement.
Yeah, having participated in the mediation, obviously can't go into the details of the mediation itself, but the turn lane is something that, as we're coming up on the 2-year time frame to accept a road built, the increased traffic from the oil and gas activity and the trucks really do warrant a turn lane, regardless of litigation or claims that were made. This is something that would have had to have been done because of the traffic that's in that area that wasn't anticipated at the time of design, but is certainly proven to be significant now. So, do we have any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we've got a motion and a second to approve the resolution provided for the settlement of the roadway claim. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Alrighty, board planning. For our next meeting, if we can kind of have a layout of what we think we can accomplish prior to fair, and maybe a bit more of a longer range plan. And I know we do have still from the sheriff 2 outstanding contracts for that we haven't gotten finalized language from. They're essentially the 2 are their overarching medical support contract, and then one for methadone treatment. So though the services are still being provided, we are out of contract. So certainly we'll talk to the sheriff, but if you run into the undersheriff or kind of impress on him the importance of getting those done, we really don't want to go any further outside of our contract. Do you have anything else you'd like to do? No. Alrighty, with that, it's 9:38. We're gonna recess now. We'll reconvene here at 11 for it's our quarterly Board of Health update. So thanks for coming out this morning. If you're gonna stick around to 11, enjoy the comfort of our building. If not, we'll see you at the next meeting. Thanks much.